That moment that you're like, all right, I got to get out. Stay in it, stay in it, in air quotes, whatever it is. Body of water, hot sauna, under the bar, hard conversation, doing shit with your business that it needs to be done. Stay in it, stay in the resistance. Because you will come out the other side a different person over time if you do it long enough. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I help financial professionals build an elite body and mind without sacrificing work or time with their family. I know your life because I lived it for 20 years. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Lift Podcast, and I am your host, Brian. And as I always say, I am just like you, and if I can do it, so can you. And I didn't even mean to rhyme there. I don't say these things when I open up the show because I feel like I have accomplished so much that I'm now at a point that I can tell you what to do. I say them because I want to reinforce that I am very much just like yourself today, not just 10 years ago, before I made some massive transformations in my life, and I continue to do so, working towards the elite version of myself, which I help clients, people just like you, do the same thing, find their own version of elite, close the gap between where they are now and where they know that they are destined and can be if they put their mind to it. I just say that stuff because oftentimes we think so often that, you know, if our circumstances were different, we'd be able to achieve more things. And I just can't emphasize enough that you can do anything you want to do. And as I said last week, towards the end of the show, you know, on my 48th birthday, you have no idea what you're capable of. You have no idea where you could be in a year, 2 years. I was at the gym about a week ago now, and realizing as I did a set of dumbbell bench press. So I had 2 dumbbells. For those of you who don't know resistance training very well, where you been? Because you've been listening to my podcast for a while, so you should. But I had 2 dumbbells. I was doing bench press, right, with dumbbells. And I had 100-pound dumbbells in my hands, which is a lot of weight. And I got long arms, and it's a long way to push 100 pounds on both arms, 200 total pounds, right? And I did a set of 5, then I did a set of 8, then I did another set of 7. And I thought to myself, holy crap, I, for the first time in my life, picked up 100-pound dumbbells to press when I was age 47. Now, I was a little stronger when I was in my early 20s. I just didn't do dumbbell benching as much. I probably could have done 100s for the same amount of reps, if not more. Not much more though, because I'm just about as strong as I've ever been. And I'm talking about when I was 21 years old doing steroids, okay? I'm just as strong as I was. So the point is not about my impressive dumbbell benching or the fact that I did steroids when I was in my early 20s. The point is that you, my friend, you, my finger is going into the camera right now, you are capable of anything. If you just put your damn mind to it, develop a plan, probably get some accountability, that would help. Probably follow an expert, that would help. But if you just refuse to stop and you just keep going, you can achieve anything that you want. And that is part of what I wanted to talk about this week quickly, is this concept of resistance, not stopping, taking the path. We hear often the phrase, taking the path of least resistance. And while that's very important, and quite frankly, the way I help construct a customized program for each and every one of my clients, there's a whole lot of value in taking the path of most resistance. And every once in a while, if we could just push ourselves through the noise that we hear inside our heads, the voice that's telling us to stop, that it's good enough. I told my 16-year-old son recently that if he ever hears me say the phrase good enough, or if I ever hear him say the phrase that's good enough, that he can punch me in the face, he can yell at me, he can come at me, and I'm going to do the same. I'm not going to punch him in the face. Just so you don't send the police on me, all right? We don't use that terminology, good enough. it's a mentality that I think far too many people in our situation, when I say our situation, I mean mid 40s, late 40s, early 50s, maybe early 40s. You got some money in the bank, you're successful, you got a great family, you got a beautiful wife, you're comfortable. You're comfortable. And we can get too comfortable sometimes. And that's where this concept of discomfort and resistance comes into play. That's why I enjoy things like jumping in a cold plunge, because no matter how often I do it, yeah, I get used to it. I know what to expect more, but there's nothing different about that first minute or 30 seconds or a minute and a half, depending on how cold the water is, whatever. There's nothing different about that adjustment period when you get into cold water. It doesn't change. Your perception of you're going to be okay definitely changes, but it doesn't change. The discomfort doesn't change. At least for me, it doesn't. The discomfort in the middle of a set with those 100-pound dumbbells. Now, it's evolved. A year ago, that was uncomfortable when I just put the damn weights in position to start to lift them. Now doing sets of 7 or 8 or 6 or whatever. Now, that discomfort, that resistance happens a little bit later. And the point of all this is that you need to find that resistance. We're constantly in search of that resistance in our lives. But what we do when we reach it, when we meet the resistance point, especially for a lot of us who, quite frankly, are just living a fairly cushy life. Life is good. Life is good for a lot of people listening to this. Yeah, I know you got problems. We all got problems. But if we zoom out a bit, life is pretty darn good, especially as we come into a season of the holidays and gratitude and thinking about what we have. Did you worry about buying Christmas gifts this year? Did you worry about the prices of any of the vacations that you took or that are on the calendar for you coming up? Do you go to a restaurant and do you look at the price? Most of us look at prices, but like, do you stress about the price? Yeah, we might make a comment about the $72 filet that we're going to buy, but we still buy it, right? We don't get up and leave, still buy it. You know, I look at my credit card bill every month and I dry heave a bit, but I still pay it and I still spend about the same amount of money next month. And so we get comfortable in these areas of our lives. And it's really important that we continue to find resistance and we push the envelope of resistance, because it is a muscle that we can begin to develop by flexing, right? We need to develop that muscle inside of our head by flexing it. What does it mean to flex it? You got to find the resistance points. This is one of the things I see too often. The concept of this podcast started with me thinking about like common gym mistakes and common like health club mistakes. I've been going pretty regularly to a spa to do sauna and cold plunge. Now I have a chest freezer at my house. I do have a portable sauna at my house, but I prefer the setup of a nice proper dry sauna, which I don't have at home. Obviously not having to clean my own cold plunge is preferable too. So I've been going to a place 1 day a week, 2 days a week, a couple weeks, 3 days a week, depending on my schedule. On average, it's like 1.5 times a week. And I've noticed something inside the sauna recently as I've been able to stay in there longer and longer. I was going in for 15-minute sessions or so. So I'd go 15 in, and then I'd go hit the cold plunge for 2 to 3 minutes. Then I'd go back 15, cold plunge 2 to 3. Well, as I get used to it, when I say used to it, I mean like your tolerance gets built up, but I get used to the resistance mentally in my head. As I'm getting more used to it, I'm staying in longer to push myself more. And so those sessions went from 15 to 20 minutes, 20 to 22 to 25. And recently, over the last couple weeks, I've been doing a few 30-minute sauna sessions, and they get a little gnarly. It's probably 185 to 90 degrees in there. I would, for everyone who's like, you should be doing hotter, I would love to. The place just doesn't have a hotter sauna. It has a 50, I would estimate it's about 55 degrees in terms of the cold plunge. Why don't you do a colder cold plunge, Brian? I would love to. They just don't have a colder one. So about 190-ish degrees, 55 degrees. I've been building up from 15 minutes all the way to 30, from 2 to 3, all the way to 5 minutes. And now that's sort of my routine. 30 minutes in the sauna, 5 minutes in the cold plunge, back to 30 minutes in the sauna, 5 minutes in the cold plunge, depending on my allocated time, whether I can devote, close to an hour and a half by the time you get in there and get changed and all that stuff. So it's about an hour and a half. So if I got an hour and a half, that's what I'm going to do. All right. Now, both of those sauna sessions start to get tough around 22, 23 minutes. It's harder on the first one because my core body temperature isn't as low from that first 5 minutes in the ice, in the cold plunge. The second one still gets hard, but it gets hard maybe around 25, 26 minutes. And what I've noticed as you spend more time in the sauna, what happens is other people come in and out of the sauna. And there's nothing to do in the sauna other than work on your breathing, meditate a little bit, think. You don't have things in there. I don't bring anything in. I've thought about bringing a book in every once in a while. It's just going to get sweaty. You can't bring your phone and your iPod, your earbuds and all that stuff. I leave them all out. It's a good time to disconnect and stay off of technology and just be present. But what you tend to do is you tend to people watch a little bit and look around. And what you notice is when somebody starts to meet that moment of resistance. They start to get a little fidgety. They start to stretch a little bit. They start to wipe all the sweat off their face. They move around a little bit more. They definitely appear less comfortable. And it's like clockwork at this point. I've seen it every single time I've observed somebody. It's like clockwork. Within 2 minutes of them starting to get a little fidgety, to start to wipe the sweat off, to start to visually appear to be uncomfortable, they get up and leave. And this isn't like a judgment on those people. They're weak, they're soft. I don't know. It could be part of their routine and maybe they're executing it flawlessly. But most of the time they're in there for 7 minutes, 12 minutes, 9 minutes. And again, this isn't me thinking I'm tougher than them. Right? This isn't me thinking I'm tougher because in my 6th, 7th, and 8th rep of the 100-pound dumbbells, the tempo is starting to slow down. My body is starting to shake a little bit. My mind is telling me to put the damn weights down. And there's even a little bit of Tourette's coming out of my mouth, like a F, like a you know what, flying out of my mouth uncontrollably. I didn't plan to say the F word. I just said it. I see too many people. They do like that one rep that starts to get a little uncomfortable. Then they put the weight down in the gym when they're capable of doing 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 more reps. When they're in the sauna and they get hot and it's 12 minutes in and they can absolutely stay to 15, let alone more than that, probably more like 20, 25. They get up. It's good enough. And they leave. And missing out on this magical experience of pushing through resistance, that was a little bit more sensational than I wanted to describe it, but that's the first word that popped into my head. Missing out on that is you're doing yourself a huge disservice by not finding more resistance in your life. And this happens a lot in the gym. I see so many people do their set of 10, put the weights down, and they go do something else. And then they come back over and they do the same weights for the same number of reps. Like, very rarely should you be doing the same number of reps, especially if it's the same weight. You need to start finding these areas of your life that create resistance for you. And here's the cool thing. It's not a physical thing as I'm describing. It's more of a mental thing. It's certainly physical, but it's more of a mental thing. Maybe for you, resistance is you not opening up a bottle of wine on a Tuesday. Pushing through that resistance, knowing that you will be okay. You will survive. You will wake up on Wednesday, probably feeling better than you normally do. But when you drove home, you realized that you had a rough day. It was stressful. It was unplanned. You probably hit some traffic. And it's like we start to talk to ourselves and we negotiate. It's like, we deserve this. It's okay. I was really good today. I've been great for the last 2 or 3 days. We negotiate our way into not feeling this resistance. I do it too. I do it all the time in other areas of my life. There's areas of your business you probably don't want to deal with because it's hard. You're not getting any immediate satisfaction out of it. The feedback loop is much longer, potentially. And so we go towards the things that we get feedback from. We get immediate gratification from. If you can push yourself to delay that gratification, it feels a whole lot better. I feel a whole lot better about myself getting out of the sauna at 30 minutes than I did at 18 minutes. Because I know that I accomplished something. Is it small? Yeah, of course it's small. Is it, in the grand scheme of things, I could argue, as meaningless as it is meaningful? Yeah, it is. But it's another piece of evidence that I'm stacking. It's so critical that we stack small pieces of evidence and wins in our lives. And it's one of the foundational components of working with the men that I work with and the women that I work with. We look for this stuff all week. We set goals. We set targets. Did we keep them? We audit them. If we didn't keep them, why? If we did, can we build upon them, or do we need to just ingrain another week of doing the same thing, of building that identity of somebody? And so if there's one thing as we start to think through 2025, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? What do I want to achieve in 2026? And we'll talk a bit about, next year and setting some goals before the end of the year on this podcast. So I don't want to devote much time to that. But I do want you to think about, as you are slowing down, and this is a pretty busy week, but as you get out of this week and start to slow down a little bit into the Christmas holiday, New Year's, and into the beginning of the year, and you do have time to reflect, start to think about, where in your life are you avoiding resistance? Where can you add more resistance? Physically, via maybe some of the weights that you're pushing around in the gym. Stop doing a set of 10 and then running over to another machine to do another thing, a set of 10, and then running over and doing jumping jacks. And do a set that causes you to sit there and not be dizzy for 30 seconds. That's when you know you did a proper work set. And that's the mental component of it that you need to push through, because rep 6, 7, and 8 is not going to feel good. Minute 24 to 30 is not going to feel great in the sauna. Minute 2.5 to 4, well, it may turn out to be numb in the cold plunge. It's like that moment that you're like, all right, I got to get out. Stay in it, stay in it, in air quotes, whatever it is. Body of water, hot sauna, under the bar, hard conversation, doing shit with your business that it needs to be done. Stay in it. Stay in the resistance. Because you will come out the other side a different person over time if you do it long enough. But we don't give ourselves enough time in order to get the feedback. And we just kind of jump from one thing to another. So I'm wishing you, for the rest of the year, the ability for you to start to figure out where you can find some of these areas of your life. If you have questions or you're curious about where you could push through more resistance, shoot me a message, brian@thesuccesslift.com. I would love to talk it through with you. This one resonated with you. If you enjoyed this message, if you got something out of it, share it with somebody. People are going to have more time over the next several weeks to listen to some podcasts. Send them this one. I appreciate you. I'll see you back here next week.